Chapple. I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. And this is the Predawn Hour. And during our time together, this space will become illumined with the muted light of the sun. We have a dense, overcast, low fog here near the Pacific Ocean. And this morning, and perhaps it's evening if you're in India, or afternoon if you're in Europe, but during this experience, we will travel outward and we will travel inward. We will begin at our base. We will rise through the middle to the zone that we have above. And in sequence, we will work with the earth, with water, with fire, with air, all in place within the magnificence of the world as experienced through the senses of the human body. And I invite you, as we begin, to just settle into your seat, whether it be your seat in front of the computer, wherever you find yourself, and feel grounded and connected with the earth. And we'll begin with 3 rounds of Mula Bandh, followed with Jalandhara Bandh, and followed with Uddiyana Bandh. And our theme today is the invocation of the Bhur realm, the below realm, the Bhuva realm, the middle realm, and the Sva realm that extends above and beyond. So begin by inhaling, pulling up on your pelvic floor. When you're fully inhaled, bring your chin to your chest and hold, pulling the energy of the sky from above and the energy of the earth from below. And then slowly exhale and release the pelvic floor, release your face back up into neutral. When you're fully exhaled, bring your stomach muscles up under your rib cage and hold that exhale. And then release, and then slowly inhale, pulling up from the pelvic floor. When fully inhaled, apply the Jalandhara Bandh. And then release into the cave of silence, into the Uddiyana Bandh. And then one last time, inhale, pulling up from the earth. Fully inhaled, seal the sky. And then exhale. And then create a temple of silence with Uddiyana Bandh. And then release and shake out your hands, and wherever you are, just let it relax. And I'll introduce myself. My name is Key Chapple. I'm the Doshi Professor of Indic and Comparative Theology and the Director of the Yoga Studies programs, including the Master of Arts in Yoga Studies at Loyola Marymount University. And I want to pay honor, if I could ask Taina to share the image of Gurani Anjali. And this is the woman with whom I studied from 1972 in Amityville, New York until 1985, when I moved to Los Angeles, and we stayed in touch until her passing in the year 2001. And we learned from her the principles and the practices of Patanjali Yoga. And it's with great humility we share these with you today. And if we could have the next image of Mother Earth. This was created as the other line drawings by Gabriela Ayara Canizales, who graduated from the MA some years ago. And they're images within a book called Living Landscapes. And you have, as an addendum to your packet, the PDF of the appendix for the Living Landscapes book, which includes a discussion and a sequence of practice based on our conversation this morning. And in looking at this image, we see the earth below, we see sun and moon, and we see the human body as inseparable from the universe body. And now I'd like to introduce my co-presenter, and her name is Catherine Weiss, and she's coming to us from France. And if we could switch so that Catherine could.
Hello. I don't know if you can see me or not. Hi, it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you so much, Chris, Serenity, Taina, Amy, everyone for including me in this. I graduated from the master's degree program in the spring of 2019, so a year and a half ago, and I will be leading the movement portions of this practice today. So Chris will take us through some elemental meditations and mantra, and then I'll guide us in some movement that's going to be a little bit different than your usual asana. It's super gentle, but it's also self-led, so you could really make it what you want it. And these are practices I've gathered from a variety of different fields of study, including conscious dance, which I wrote about for my master's thesis, and physical practices from various yoga styles, and from Bharatanatyam, and just a whole bunch of different stuff. So thank you for joining us on this exploration.
Great. So we will be shifting back and forth every 10 minutes or so. And what we will share at this point, meaning all of us collectively, is a move into gentle awareness of our current circumstance and awareness of our relationship to Earth. And I want to begin by talking about a threefold circumstance, a threefold global circumstance. Now, as we will reflect on particles of Earth, as well as these other elemental presences, our attention for the past 7 months has been riveted on an expression of life that rises just a little bit above the elemental into the microbial. And as we had energized that lower part of our physiology and anatomy, we were actually connecting through those bandhas, through those physical seals that we placed upon our body. We were interacting with billions of bacteria that reside and suffuse and exist in symbiosis with this thing that we call our own life. And with this awareness of this remarkable symbiosis between these small microscopic life presences and our very life itself within this body, we're given the invitation to reflect on the power of the coronavirus that has caused us to be separate from one another, and yet has empowered us to connect in ways hitherto unimagined. So first, these little tiny, very powerful viruses have suffused the planet, have resulted in a shutdown of a rhythm of life to which so many of us had become accustomed. So tiny, so powerful. Many people riveted now more than ever before to the mediation of the screen. And so many people all over the world have retreated into the cave of the yogi. This is a repeat of a moment that has occurred about every 100 or 200 years. And perhaps the most documented cataclysmic pandemic happened with the Black Death of 1353. And during that season, 1353 to 1354, 50% of the population of Europe died. Let me repeat that. 50%, not 1%, but 50% of the population of Europe died. If 1% of America died with the coronavirus, that would be 1 million people. More than 1 million people, 3 million people. But if it were 50%, 150 million Americans would be no more. 50%, 600 million people of India would be no more. And in the north of England, a woman living in Norwich called Julian was already the equivalent of the yogi in the cave. And she, as had done Thomas Merton 50 years ago or more, had taken a vow of isolation, and she was a cloistered nun. And she never came more than 6 or 10 feet from anyone, and it saved her. And as she would go to this window of her cell and look out, and as she would see the death and the suffering, literally bodies being wheeled in carts, she said, why? And a voice came to her, a voice that made her very angry. And the voice said, all will be well. And one can only imagine that she felt a profound survivor's guilt, but people would come to her window for solace, and she would just go into that place of silent prayer. Human biology, utterly dependent upon bacteria and the virus. And I'd like us to reflect a little more positively about how it is that we have the earth, how it is that we have the air, and remind us of the work of James Lovelock, the great NASA scientist and the theorist who originated Gaia as a story of science, of our origin. And the great universe flared forth 13.7 billion years ago. And about 4.5 billion years ago, this Earth gathered itself in orbit around the sun, and then something happened miraculous. These little tiny proto-forms of life, the Jains in India refer to them as the Nagoda, became hungry. And they were probably seeded in from a comet, and they landed here, and they began to nibble. And they nibbled on the rock, and as they nibbled, they pooped, and as they nibbled, they exhaled and birthed. And they did this for hundreds of millions of years. And when they pooped, it became limestone. And when they burped, it became this balance of nitrogen and oxygen. And just as the human body relies upon the symbiosis of all of the bacteria in our biome, in our gut, so also the very conditions for life itself were created by life itself. And first, single-celled organisms arose, and then hundreds of millions of years go by, multicellular, and then the efflorescence of this amazing ecosystem. Life in so many forms, existing and flourishing in support of other life forms. And I want to share with you one of the small blessings of being here morning after morning after morning, and I'll be able to share it with you. And it's clockwork of Mother Nature herself. But as the sky begins to lighten, there will be an assembly of crows. They call them a murder of crows. But the crows every morning fly south with the morning sun as their advisor to the left. And they will begin about an hour, maybe half hour from now, and I'll interrupt and invite you to be with the crows as they migrate south. And every evening at sunset, they gather again and they fly to the north. What symbiosis, what reciprocity, what amazing attunement, the crow and the sun. Now in our yoga training, we learned from the inside Sankhya philosophy. And the Sankhya philosophy will be the topic of a lecture this afternoon by Rob Zabel. And we learned it we got the words, but we learned it inferentially. And then we realized, oh, we better find out how this whole way of conceptualizing the universe and the human body, we better learn it as it was laid out hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But how did we learn it inferentially? We learned it by, and I'll invite you in to this process, we learned it by doing this practice. And for a few seconds, I invite you to either cast your gaze down into your space near the earth, or perhaps if the view is suitable, to gaze upon this disk of earth and say to yourself, earth, earth, soil, dirt, and think about what grows from the earth. You can see bird of paradise and back, a bottle brush tree. Now think of the vegetables, think of the grasses, think of the landscape of your community. And then bring that earth awareness through fragrance into your nose. And then just as we started early this morning, work Mula Bandh. Take your sphincter and pull up on your pelvic floor and appreciate your contribution through excrements of thanking the earth for the nutrition that is provided and returning to the earth what you no longer need. And this stuff of earth, this gift of the goddess Prithvi, invoked thousands of years ago in the Rig Veda, again, connects through the fragrance experienced in the nose, connects through our eliminatory process, and connects with all of the majestic, life-giving food that comes from Mother Earth. And we'll repeat 18 times the syllable for earth. And the syllable for earth is lam. And you can count on the joints of your finger 6 sets of 3. Lam, 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 lam. Lum, 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 lum. So we'll sit for a couple of minutes, gaze upon the earth, gaze upon this image of Mother Earth, and reflect upon fragrance entering through the nose, reflect on the many forms manifested through the soil, from the humble carrot to the magnificent redwood. So I'll close this first part of our earth experience with some verse from the Yoga Vasishta. I felt my body covered with grasses like hair, as well as tree-tangled mountains, as we saw in the beautiful illustration. The ridges of the Himalayas and the Vindhyas, the clouds high on Mount Meru, the abundance of rivers such as the Ganges, all this evokes in our reflections upon the earth a delicate string of pearls. So Catherine will lead us as we let this relationship with the earth further develop.
Thank you. So as we start to ground ourselves in the physical reality of this moment, I invite you to take a look around your immediate space and make sure you have everything you need to be comfortable and to do some movement for the next hour or two. I have my yoga mat and I have a sheepskin on top of my yoga mat because we'll be lying down at some point. You could have a pillow or a blanket. You might want to also clear some space behind you because we will get up and move around off of our yoga mats at a little later point. And this is part of us sinking into the physical reality. What is around me? And what do I have intrinsic to myself? I have this physical body. So let's start with a little bit of self-massage to show this earthy aspect of ourselves. A little love. Take your hands together at your heart and just press them gently one into the other. Close your eyes if that feels good. Or you can keep your eyes open, gaze soft. A breath in through your nose and a sigh out your mouth. Again, like that, pressing your palms one into the other, feeling your earthy body. Inhale through your nose and sigh out your mouth. And one more time together, inhaling Exhale. Start to rub your hands together, create some heat as fast as you like, rubbing your hands together. And then when you feel that nice heat, take your hands and put them right over your eyes, the heels of your hands fitting into your ocular orbit, warming up your face. Again, rub your hands together, keep them nice and warm. This time, take them onto your jaw, feeling the heat of your palms on your cheeks, on the sides of your temples. Again, rub your hands together. Moving now onto your thighs, maybe rubbing your hands back and forth, maybe using both hands to rub one leg and then the other. And as we continue with this self-massage, you can keep rubbing your hands together, creating that heat, that energy. You can take this into your arms, upper arms, lower arms, and also just take a moment to acknowledge any injuries you might have or anything that might be sore or stiff. Maybe it's early morning, maybe it's late nights. Maybe you hurt yourself this week like I did, so you need to be a little bit careful of yourself. Just sort of noting all these things. What's my physical reality right now? Give yourself a little more of this physical love, this self-massage. Let's take our warm hands onto our bellies. Maybe it's a gentle rubbing that feels good. Maybe a bit of a massage into the soft tissues up around your ribs or your hip bones, maybe on the low back. Again, maybe hands together, rubbing, taking the self-massage up onto your shoulders. One and then the other. Notice that you're giving yourself a hug now. Animal affection, we all need. And when you feel complete with that, you can come to stillness. We'll start with a few exercises to wake up all the individual little parts of our bodies that connect to our nerves and are like individual beings themselves. So take your eyes super wide, like you're completely surprised. Wide, 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 as you can. And then take your entire face, very, very tiny, squinching your eyes up, your mouth, your nose, everything super tiny. You can clench your hands as well, tensing your body if you want. And then again, open your eyes wide, let your mouth get wide. You can stretch your arms out if you feel like you want to get your body into it. And then again, take everything super tiny, make yourself a tiny, tight little ball, especially concentrating on the face and the mouth. Okay, let that go. Now, open your eyes wide. Let your eyes travel all the way over to the right. So keeping your face centered, but eyes all the way over to the right. And now, as though you were following a horizontal line across the wall in front of you, take your eyes all the way over to the left, slowly traveling that horizontal wall as far as your eyes can look. And once you've reached that farmost left point, again, traveling that straight line all the way across the wall in front of you. Maybe you turn some corners, travel over some furniture, all the way over to the right. And one more time, we take our eyes all the way over to the left, as though you could see something in your peripheral vision that's farther outside the normal range. All the way over to the left. Let your eyes return to center. Maybe give yourself a gentle little shake. Again, open your eyes wide. We'll make circles this time, so eyes all the way up, all the way over to the outer edges of the vision on the right, traveling all the way down to the floor underneath us, looking at the edges of your own body, maybe even your own cheeks, all the way over to the left, and then all the way back up to the top. Again, one more time that direction, taking your eyes in a wide, slow circle, all the way to the right, to the floor, to the left, to the top. When you reach the top, switch the direction. So taking your eyes all the way over to the left and down and over to the right. Notice where you want to skip a spot. Notice where you start to travel faster. One more time. We go all the way over to the left and down to the right and up and release. Again, blink your eyes a few times. You can just turn your head back and forth. Okay, let's take our mouths super wide. Ah, you can make a vocalization. Ah, and now make it small. really small. It might mean something different to you. Again, mouth wide, really wide, and really small, really small. Okay, we're going to do something a little bit strange here. This is just the first sort of interesting thing I'm going to ask you to do. Take your hands. We've got thumbs right underneath the jawbone there, so underneath your chin, and then taking your index fingers on the front of your jaw. So we're going to destructure our jaw a little bit. Look down towards the floor underneath you and gently using your hands, start to shake your jaw. I'm going to stop talking so you can see and hear. It's kind of funny. You can vocalize. So using your chin or using your hands to physically manipulate your chin. Don't hurt yourself. Anything I offer hurts you, then please do not do it. But just using it to shake your chin, your jaw back and forth. You can open your mouth. Maybe there might be some spit that comes out. You could consider it an offering to the earth. Letting your breath just flow the way it flows as you do this destructuring exercise. And then gently let that go. Let's take this motion into our wrists now. Gently circling the wrists. Slowly moving around all points of the circle as we did with our eyes. Maybe moving a little slower than you think you can. And then the other direction again. Slowly moving through all points of the circle. Take your hands onto your shoulders now. And we're making elbow circles. Also getting into the shoulders, making wide elbow circles out to the sides, just opening up all the individual parts of our physical being so that we can have access to them. And again, back the other direction. Making it as wide and as slow feels good. Taking this now into a little gentle head circle. Let your head tilt down towards your chin, over towards the right. Tipping gently back, looking skyward, over to the left, and back down to center. One more time, that direction. Gently moving through all points of the circle. And when you reach the center with your chin down, other direction. Just getting to know your physical body today. Okay, come to stillness and come to lay on your back. So we'll put our feet flat on the floor to begin with. You can let your hands rest on your belly. You can let one hand rest on your belly, one on your heart, or you can let your hands come to the side. Get comfortable, feel your spine on the floor or the earth, the mat, what have you. And when you're ready, extend your legs up towards the ceiling. So we're going to take feet flexed. I need to tip my screen just a bit. I've got long legs. So feet flexed, knees quite bent. If it's hard for you to keep your feet in the air like this, you can roll your mat underneath your hips, giving yourself a little more height there. And just give a little bit of a push through your heels. So you're pushing your heels up towards the ceiling. And observe what happens with your feet and your legs. As you push, keeping a gentle bend in your knees, notice a little trembling that starts to happen, a tremoring. Let that tremoring be, or see if you can feel into the tremoring. Let your breath fall in your body, breathing the way you breathe, and let this tremoring continue. This gentle pushing through the heels, creating this little earthquake in your body. Destructuring is a practice we can use to help us shake off old traumas, to help us shake off old emotions, old habits, things that we no longer want. Just like the earth tremors to release pressure that's built up over time, we have pressure that builds up over time in our tissues. They say your issues are in your tissues. So we're using this little tremoring, this strange little motion of feet pushing up to the ceiling to create a little release valve to let go of some of that old stuff that's not serving us anymore. Again, if you want to vocalize with this, you can. I recommend a little horse's breath. So we inhale through the nose and then blow it out your lips. You could even let that have some voice to it. Maybe another one like that. Sounds a little bit like a motor. So let yourself continue this tremor for a moment or two more. And when you feel complete, let your legs start to come back down into your body. Give yourself a gentle hug. Animals need touch. And roll yourself gently onto your side, coming onto hands and knees. So we have a lot of animal shapes in our yoga practice, and that can be a great way for us to gain empathy with animals, but I think it's really helpful if we move with them. So rather than doing a traditional cat-cow, let's find a little bit of emotion here with the hands, lifting and lowering one hand and the other, a little bit like your cat making biscuits. So maybe kind of sinking your claws into your mat. Maybe really enjoying the articulation of your wrist as you lift and lower. And then let's take this into a crawl. So crawl around the inside edges of your mat, letting your knees and your hands touch every single part of your mat. Maybe your mat is long, maybe it's short, maybe you're on a rug or the deck. So whatever it is, crawl around, go the other direction. Make sure that you turn the other way so we're not just creating habits in our bodies that are then going to make us get a little bit stuck later on when we get older or we get injured. Okay. Let your speed change. So if you're going really slow, maybe speed it up a little bit. And then think about, what kind of animal are you? Are you a cat or a dog? Maybe you're a bear. How does a bear lumber maybe a little bit more? Does that same lifting and lowering motion of the hands come into it for the type of animal that you are? Maybe you want to get a little bit lower and creep more like a lizard. Maybe you want to go off your mat, taking yourself a little more into the physical world. So let this continue for a few more breaths. Notice your breath. What is your breath doing? Notice any thoughts that might come up. Do you feel silly? Do you feel free? Do you like it? Do you feel your SOAS turning off? And when you feel complete, come back to sit. Close your eyes, sitting in whatever way is comfortable. And take your awareness into your animal body, your earthy being. You're an animal like so many other creatures on this planet. We are bipedal. Other creatures have 4 legs, 6 legs, fins or wings. We are all inhabitants of Earth. And I'll pass it back to Chris now for our water talk.
Thank you, Catherine. And you noticed Catherine taking that life-giving sip of tea, of water, whatever it may be. And as we transition from our awareness of Earth, our awareness of animal, I'd like us to, again, in that front part of our pelvic floor, make a connection with the eliminatory watery function of our lower body, and simultaneously feel the wateriness of our mouth. And there's a mantra that will anoint and define this space within our progressive and successive concentrations on the elements. And this mantra for water is the syllable Lam. And as we contemplate this beautiful line drawing, we see all these different manifestations of water, internal, external. I swim pretty much daily in the Pacific Ocean. And ocean water has the same salinity as human blood and human tissue. Our eyes carry the salinity of the ocean water. And water gives us buoyancy. Water allows the flow of life. And let's frame this with 18 recitations, 3 sets of 3 twice, of the syllable Lam, which is a gentle movement of the lips, sort of a cross between a V and a W. So again, 18 Lams. Lam, 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 lam. Hum, 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 hum. Feel the effect of the vibration in that upper area of our body. And every time we intone, we're vibrating all of those liquids that comprise the human body. You can probably feel just a little bit of moisture upon your lips. And as we would sit, and I offer you a bowl of water, if we could switch the camera. To the image of Chris. I offer you a drishti point of the water. And say to yourself, as you gaze upon this shimmering, moving, ever-changing, display of water molecules, to say to yourself, river, to say to yourself, pond, to say to yourself, ocean, to say water, quenching thirst, water, cleansing, water, flooding, water, soothing, water, warm, water, scalding hot, water, cold, water, liquid, water, steam, water, ice. And then close your eyes And remember brushing your teeth. Remember taking a shower. Remember taking a bath. Remember being in a pool. Remember being in a river. Remember being in a pond. Remember being in a lake. Remember or imagine being in the ocean. Then bring your fingers to your mouth and appreciate your capacity to taste through the vehicle of the mouth. Remember that you were born of the waters of your mother and father. Remember, as a baby, you're made clean with lukewarm water. And remember, through our tears, we feel and express our humanity. Water flows upon the surface of the earth, in our body, water resides in the Svadhisthana chakra, just above the Muladhara chakra, just in front of the Muladhara chakra. And that earth and water provide us with the stability of food, with the stability of flow. Bacteria travel in water. And all of this in gentle reciprocity provides for us the foundation of life. So I'd like to return to Europe, and Catherine, as we go over to you, I'm hoping you'll tell us the name of your town in France.
Oh, yes, I live in Nancy, France, spelled like Nancy. So it is about a 2-hour train journey outside of Paris in Grand Est, so right on the border of Germany. And it is almost 4 o'clock here in the afternoon. So as we begin our water practice, I'm going to invite you to come back down onto your yoga mat, your carpet. And if you have your water to drink nearby, please set it a little ways away. We'll be moving into some conscious dance inspired movements. And I invite you to come down on your non-dominant side. So if you are right-handed, laying down on your right side, letting your left hand be up. Now, originally I had planned to offer this to you with music, but we can't for licensing reasons. So I invite you to imagine a piece of music that you like. Just lay here on your dominant side for a moment. You can close your eyes if that feels good for you. Nestled up like you're taking a cozy nap. And start to imagine that you're nestled up under the water. Maybe you're in the bottom of a river or a stream. Maybe you're under the sea in a salty bed. Maybe it's a pond or a lake or an aquarium. Take your top hands. Let it come back by your waist so your elbow is pointing up. And just allow yourself to start to rotate back and forth. So heart opening up to the body of water above you, and then heart closing down to the riverbed, sand underneath you. Gently move back and forth with his hands tucked by your waist, maybe like a fin, maybe like a wing. Gently rocking back and forth. Maybe allowing that hand to start to float up. What does it feel like to move through water? What does it feel like to live in the water? How does your breath come? Feel the weight of the water on your skin, the texture of it. Is it warm or cool? And what is it that you are? Are you a piece of wood or a creature? You can allow some vocalization to come into this, maybe a gentle and maybe allowing your hand now to start to reach up towards the surface of the water above you. Maybe even your top leg starts to float. A piece of kelp or seaweed at the mercy of the current or the tide, gently flowing in and out. In and out. Examining and opening up, notice this non-dominant hand. What does it have to teach you about being an underwater plant? What does it have to show you about being a life human? When you feel ready, you can roll over onto your opposite side, giving your dominant hand, if that's the way you chose to begin, a choice, a chance. Maybe you open your eyes and you start to look up at the surface of the water above you, watching the sunlight come down through the water, mottled rays, little particles floating above you, back and forth, in and out. You can stay on your side, moving back and forth. You can sit up, or you can transition to standing. Whichever will feel most nourishing for you. Softly make your way into your next position if you're transitioning. Let your knees be soft. Let your hands be soft. Feet maybe as wide as your hips or maybe a little wider. You can keep your eyes closed or soft. Imagine that you're part of a kelp forest. You're a tall, meaty plant growing under the water. Yes, are your arms reaching up? Additional kelp reaching for the sky. A fish starts to come among your fronds, gently disturbing your flow. What's the current like where you are? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is there some sort of disturbance? A boat overhead? Is there a spiral that might come in? Are your fingers additional little fronds of seaweed or some sort of plant? Now I invite you to imagine that your body is full of water. Full of water, you stand, a liquid body, and there's a fish inside you, swimming into your shoulder and your left arm, and moving back up your arm into your torso. How does that fish swimming in your body move you into your leg or your other arm, your neck? Now there's two fish swimming around the container of your liquid body, and a third fish. Are they together or separately? Are they swimming fast or slow? Swimming around these fish by the body. You are liquid. It's the truth. 96% of the body, I believe. Is that correct? And let that come to stillness. Let yourself come to stand. And just receive this water practice as Chris transitions us to the air practice. Presence of the crow.
Okay, I invite you to listen to the crows and to see the crows as they pass overhead. And to take in through this frame the gentle light of the dawn, as here in California, we make the transition from night into day. And if you're able to hear the gentle crow cawing, 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 as we listen and as we look, we're able to feel that rhythm of life as it finds expression. And as the crows return, I'll return and bring us skyward again. And in the meantime, we'll move into a reflection on the power of that reflected light of the sun. And I invite you to gaze upon the candle. Perhaps you have a candle already in your home environment, I invite you to gaze upon the bird of paradise with its remarkable display of color, of complementary and split complementary color, the green of the stem and the leaf, the orange of the flower, the blue, violet of the flower, and the red of the bird of paradise. And invite you, as we did before, to bring your hands together and make your hands hot. And release them. And then if we could have the image created by Gabriella of fire. A couple of summers ago in Benares, with colleagues and students, we went down to the Ghats to release the ashes of Baba Bhattacharya back into the flow of his native India. And as we descended down the Ghats into the river, we noticed a fire being constructed, an offering fire. And with this offering fire came this syllable, Ram. And we'll set a little space for fire by reciting this mantra 18 times, 3 sets of 3 twice, counting perhaps on the joints of our fingers, rum, 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 rum. 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 I'm going to return us again to a vision of the sky. Perhaps hear the crows. They move onward. There, you just caught a little bit of one. And you can see the lightning, not lightning, but lightening of the sky as we find ourselves immersed in nature here, the gentle California climate. And feel that the light, as it arrives, is the light of the energy, whereby your food and water get mixed up in the maintenance of your tissues and your organs. and that the heat of your love allows you to connect, to empathize, to feel the same as other people. And that brings us back to the opportunity to reflect upon the second great circumstance. Our first circumstance of 2020, the pandemic, the coronavirus. The second circumstance of 2020 is the circumstance of history, of overcoming oppression. And so many of us have been moved by the dawning realization so many people have been kept in conditions, systemic conditions of oppression. Our heart goes out when we see those news videos of people being chased and assaulted. And in the words of Rodney King, uttered almost 30 years ago, can't we just get along? Through the heat of our desire and our solar plexus, okay, we call this the solar plexus. It's where we connect with the sun. It's where, just as the energy of the sun burns and burns and burns, so also our digestive fires in the stomach allow the food to do the work of supporting our life. And we have this heat in our belly that empowers us and that drives us, that brings us again and again and again into the world. And we express ourselves. We take that desire and we express ourselves through our hands. We create with our typing. We recreate with our lifting. We create with our giving through the hands. And just as we've gone from darkness and reliance on the light bulb, as we've gone from darkness into the diffused light of the sun, we can appreciate how our eyes are the gateway. Our eyes are the portal through which the world takes form. Agni, fire, the light of the sun. Aksha, the eye, through which we see form and color. And the hands, the vehicle through which we make manifest our gift to life, and through which we receive and take into ourselves in all ways the gifts of the world. So our hands are like the flickering tongues of flame, and our eyes, what a gift for those with sight to be able to gather form and color, really celebrate the fullness of life in each in every expression. Again, I'd like you to rub your hands. Our crows came right at dawn, which was a few minutes ago. We caught a couple of crows, and hopefully you've been able to hear them. But through the movement, through the creation of friction, we're able to feel that heat, appreciate that heat, receive that radiance, and again, celebrate the radiance of a new day. So Catherine, take us back to France.
So, thank you. As we move into our fire practice, let's get ready to use our action organs, our hands, our eyes, standing up. We move into our bipedal bodies. If you have anything on the floor around your yoga mat, please move it out of the way now. And again, come to standing. Place those hands, those warm hands you've just been rubbing together on your belly. Place one hand just an inch or two below your belly button and one just an inch or two above your belly button at your diaphragm. Let your knees be soft. You can take a gentle sway side to side. And let's keep eyes open. The action principle is related to the eyes. So let's use our eyes as we feel these two energy centers in our body. The low hand on your core, fiery organs, fiery center from which we often feel pulled one way or another. And the high hand on our diaphragm there, our second heart center, if you will, where we often feel a fluttering of anger or excitement, anxiety, so many things. Feel these two centers and now feel your breath. Take a deep inhale through your nose and a hot exhale out your mouth. Again, like that. Let your sway back and forth get a little more pronounced as you inhale through your nose. One more time like that, swaying back and forth, feeling these two energy centers. And now start to look around you on the floor. Notice any obstacles around you and let your feet start to take you around the floor. You can let your hands come off and just start to walk around the floor. If you want to take your eyes and take your feet to those things that might be in your way, you can move them out of the way. Now I saw Serenity linked to a playlist I offered. If you have some music that makes you want to move, you can get into that now. If you, as you start to move, feel like you're warm and you want to take off your socks, I encourage you to do so and start to really follow this path on the floor. Eyes finding a path, feet following eyes. Again, don't just go one direction, take it the other direction. Even if you don't have music, you can imagine something that makes you feel good and let your knees start to get into it. So walking around the floor, following your eyes, knees getting into it, maybe hips getting into it now as well. And still keep following this path. Trying not to move backwards so much, trying not to move in a direction where we can't see. So if you feel the call to go behind you, maybe turn your eyes that way and take a side step. And now you've got your knees involved, you've got your hips involved, you're listening to a piece of music in your head that feels good. What are your elbows doing? What are your arms doing and your shoulders? As you keep moving, interacting with your world, take your awareness back into those breath centers, maybe hands on those breath centers, feeling your breath, feeling your body as you find this dance by yourself in your space, but with all of us together, moving, acting, relating together. So conscious dance is a relational practice. It can help us relate to ourselves and it can help us relate to others. So keep finding this movement. Let your hands get involved now and your fingers. I watched a wonderful conference the other day on Bhutto, and she said, every finger is a soloist. So let your fingers have their solo as you keep following their path around your space, maybe shifting your movement. What kind of creature were you earlier? As you crawled around the floor, were you a bear or a raccoon? Were you slithering like a snake? Now, as you find this more active movement through your space, can you call in that previous creature? Or maybe something else. Have your arms become wings. You find yourself a bird soaring over the planet through the atmosphere. Maybe you are the fire itself, your body hot, your breath creating destruction, but also creating change, creating something new. What are your feet doing on the earth? Feel your feet on the earth as you move through your space. What does the earth feel like? Is it the feeling of your mat? Or is it the feeling of cold grass on a summer morning? Or the feeling of wet earth after a rain? Stone on your feet, gravel. And again, what is your breath doing? Are you breathing at all? You must be. And imagine now that there are other people in your space with you, dancing through your room, through your house, or your garden. And as you pass by them, you nod or you smile, and you give away your space to these other people. Maybe someone else in the conference. Maybe you find a little pirouette as you go by them. Maybe you just come back to this back and forth motion. And we all take it together. So one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. Let yourself shift foot to foot. Rocking the baby. Just rock the baby. So in times of chaos, in times when we don't know where our center is, when we don't know what we can do, we can always come back to this motion. Maybe a gentle pat on the chest, on the heart. I'm here for you. Just rocking the baby. How do we swim through chaos? How do we swim through the fire of change that we don't understand? Just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Rock the baby. And breathe into it. And then you can start to let your movements become a little more still. A little quieter. Letting your hands come down by your sides. Letting that piece of music in your head maybe shift. Maybe you have actually put on music. Come back to your breath. Feel the heat that you've created. Feel the energy, the blood pulsing through your veins, the flush on your cheeks. And take yourself back to that image of flame. That image of a lit candle in a dark room. You can close your eyes, focusing in on this image of flame. What's the color at the very center of the flame? What's the color at the outer edges of it? The outer edges, where it's diffusing into the atmosphere. Imagine that that flame is a goal, a wish, an inspiration for your future. Fix your gaze on that flame. And know that it's as simple as putting one foot in front of the other. We don't always know how we'll get to that item, but you can fix your concentration on it. Use your active energy to bring yourself closer to something. I'll let this transition back to Chris.
In the Upanishads, there's a famous story. All of the senses had a contest. Each of the senses said, eye, nose, fragrance, am the best. And then the mouth protested and said, no, flavor, I'm the best. And then the eye said, form, the best. And the skin said, ah, feeling, I'm the best. And the ear said, vibration, I'm the best. We're going to invoke the air. First, by seeing the air with incense, and then by internalizing the air with alternate nostril breathing. And just take your right hand and create, it's called Vishnu Mudra. Bring your thumb to your right nostril and your ring finger to your left nostril. Block your right nostril, inhale left, 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then hold 8. Inhale right. 2, 3, 4. Hold 8. Exhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold exhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale right. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold exhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then exhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold exhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then inhale. And exhale. And then inhale. And exhale. And the breath had come in the midst of all of those senses. and said, without the rhythm of the breath, without the rita rhythm of the prana, this energetic exchange, carbon dioxide and oxygen, remember, created by bacteria, the stuff of life itself. Without the breath, there can be nothing. And it's true. We might not be able to smell like when we have a cold, but we live. We might not be able to taste, but we can still eat, we can still live. We might not be able to see, and entire populations depend upon Braille, and they live. We might not, like the lepers, be able to receive touch through the skin, yet we live. And we might not be able to hear or even to speak, like people with deafness, but we live and we can flourish. But without breath, we are no more. And our breath comes in, our lungs interacting with the heart, and our breath brings that prana to every cell of the body. Magnificence of our complexity, our symbiosis between sky above, filled with air, and earth below, filled with the particle mass that provides us with our food. And I invite you to sweep your arms up as you inhale, and release your arms as you exhale. Inhale up, and exhale down. And then gently caress your largest external organ, the sense of touch received through the skin. And then bring that beautiful life-giving air into the largest of your internal organs, the lungs. And appreciate, revere this gift of life, this capacity to touch and to feel. And then bring your hands to your heart. And feel that pulsing. It is the stuff of life itself. We have a base, a triangular base, that extends from our sacrum to our knees as we sit in Padmasana or just plain cross-legged. And it's upon this triangular base that the stuff of earth and the stuff of water find home. And then we have an upward triangle that includes the heat of the belly and the breath of the heart, that allows us to rise up from the earth as we just danced and to find full expression. The Bahur and the bhuva. The bhur, earth and water, and the bhuva, fire and air. And if we could see the image of the air as presented by Gabriella, we'll see that that part of us that is the goddess of air has feathers, has wings. Think of your own shoulder blades. And from this place of the heart, we'll say 18 times the root syllable for air, which is yum. Yum, 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 yum. And again, we'll do gentle alternate nostril breathing, anuloma viloma, for a few minutes at your own pace. Inhale left, pause, exhale right. At your own pace, keep going. Inhale right, pause, and exhale left. Then finish your round of alternate nostril breathing. And reflect upon the mask that we wear when we venture beyond our home space. And those nagoda, those little microorganisms that in their bacterial form created our atmosphere and our limestone. And that limestone metamorphosed into marble. Reflect that those same nagoda as coronavirus travel through the air. And that we wear a mask to protect ourselves and to protect others. And that the power of this virus rides on the current of the stuff of life itself. For centuries and centuries, the Jains in India have taken to wearing that same face mask, knowing of these delicate Nagoda, these delicate viruses and bacteria. And they do it, again, to protect self and also to protect the Nagoda. And every time we speak, every time we exhale, we vibrate, we cause a ripple of disturbance that can in fact cause a friction that inflicts pain upon the stuff of the air. Keeping an equilibrium, keeping a homeostasis within one's own bacterial, viral, and energetic space. How amazing. And then also cherishing that gift of life that comes with the in-breath and the out-breath. And those of us who have been parents, remember those first anxious nights listening for the breathing of our baby in the night. And those of us whose hearts were broken as we've heard those words again and again from grown people protesting, I can't breathe. Hug yourself and take that life-giving breath. And find in your heart compassion for those from natural or highly unnatural causes, for those who have breathed their last. And find a space in your heart of empathy and compassion. And perhaps visualize someone near and dear who has passed, who has taken that last breath. And pledge within the core of your body, the bhuva of your body, to do what you can to uplift and sustain, to uplift and sustain the gift of life. So we'll go now from California to France in this miracle of technology.
It is a miracle. And I don't know if you can hear it, but there are church bells going off now. They go off a couple of times a day. I think it's actually to mourn the passing of someone because it's quite extended. So it seems that everyone is listening to our talk here. So air is the element related to the lungs and the heart. Yam, that seed syllable, is the seed syllable of the heart chakra, anahata. And in metaphysical anatomy, the lungs are often referred to as the wings of the heart. They reach out to express and they tighten in to protect. So by breathing deeply, we extend ourselves to our community, to our loved ones, and we can also facilitate that by communication. Air is the medium of communication. So our air practice will include movement, but it will also include an opportunity to communicate. I think originally we had discussed doing breakout groups, but I think what we're actually going to do is just invite you to share within the chat. So you could type in there anything you want to communicate about this experience so far. You could let us know what the air element means to you. If you associate it with communication or with love, something else, you could share with us about your experiences in this workshop so far. If there's anything that you want the rest of the group to know. And in this way, we can have our writing exercise and our opportunity to interact with one another. And we'll take just a couple of moments for that. I'll share. Beautiful. Air equals life equals love. Thank you, Sabiha. That's wonderful. Levity. Yes, levity, lightness. Thank you for opening this up to the world. I truly appreciate being here. We so appreciate having you, JL, and I'm so appreciative to be here too. Yes, air and movement. Yes, Chris, absolutely. Air equals life equals freedom. Air equals creativity. Yes, absolutely. Tanya, thank you. Joy and gratitude. Right back to you. Yeah. Yes, I hope you enjoy the Spotify collection. It is themed in the same sequence of elements, so something for everyone there. Yes, thank you, Chris, for the thought of remembering our loved ones who've passed. Very emotional. Absolutely, it is so important that we take time to honor those who aren't with us anymore, including not just the human people who've passed, but all the creatures who've been lost in the wildfires all over the West Coast. Taina, every breath equals a new beginning. Yeah, there is a notion in a few different forms of spirituality that we have a certain number of breaths allotted to us in this lifetime. So if we extend every breath, we extend the total length of our life. So it's really a wonderful recognition. Movement is medicine, and our breath moves our body. Our body can influence our breath. Words and breath are linked. Use wisely. Yes. Okay, I'm just going to read one or two more, and then we'll get on to some other practices. Air, movement of ideas, thoughts, and feelings. Yeah, transformation, love, peace, and future. Oh, these are so wonderful. If you want to continue to share in the chat as we go on, you are certainly welcome to. I want to lead us in another pranayama, and then we'll move into a little bit of air movement before we conclude with our fifth element. So Chris led us in Anuloma Viloma, and I had originally intended to lead 4-part breath, but I feel like we kind of covered that with Anuloma Viloma, and I am inspiration, a taking in of breath. I have an idea to lead you in Brahmari breath. Bee's breath. So you might know it, you might never have practiced it. Oh, I see someone clapping hands. I know it's my favorite too. And it's a lovely breath to connect with the things that make us feel so loved, or to generate ideas. So I'll tell you how to do it first, and then we'll do it together, because it involves taking away some of our senses. Brahmari breath is breath. We'll all inhale through the nose, and we'll exhale with a nasal vocalization. So the vocalization sounds like, I'm assuming you can hear that. Can I have a thumbs up? Thumbs up. Yeah, okay. So, and it might sound different for you, of course, but it's a nasalization through your nose on the exhale, and you might find it's very easy to keep that extending. If we were all together in the same room, We all might have an experience of being inside a beehive. Unfortunately, we're cut off from that, but I like this image of the hive. So what we'll all do together is we'll take our thumbs, and again, I'm showing, we're not gonna do right now, because if you stick your thumbs in your ears, then you're not gonna hear me, but you're gonna just push gently on this flap of your ear with your thumb, if that feels good. Otherwise, I suppose you could just plug your thumbs into your ears. So we'll push that, and then we'll wrap our fingers over our eyes. So we'll have middle fingers and ring fingers, middle fingers over the eyes, index fingers above the eyebrow, ring fingers on the cheekbones, and then pinky fingers below. So this way we take away the sense of hearing, we take away the sense of sight, and we breathe. I recommend you probably want to come down onto your back to do this. And I think let's take 5 rounds of breath, since we have 5 senses or 5 elements we're traveling through today. So again, you're going to take your elbows out wide. You'll place your thumbs plugging your ears, fingers wrapped over eyes, and it's an inhale and then exhale, 5 rounds. So you can go ahead and begin, and just notice the images that come up behind your eyes as you do this. And when you are done, you can come gently back up to sit, and then back up to stand. Okay, so I'll stand up for a little bit more free movement, embodying air. So we've explored what it's like to be underwater. We've explored what it's like to be a creature crawling around on the earth on our 4 legs or our 2. We've had the experience of being fiery beings, walking around. Now let's take ourselves into the experience of being in the atmosphere. If it's comfortable for you, you may close your eyes. Otherwise, let yourself just gaze softly. You can start to find just a gentle sway, gentle side to side motion. Let yourself feel the air around you, touching your skin, feeling of your clothes on your skin. Feel this medium, this gas all around us. Feel it as it very gently starts to move you. We're swaying on our feet all the time, making micro adjustments we don't even have to think about. Let yourself start to notice those micro adjustments right now. And feel as a warm current of air rises up underneath your hands, lifting your arms, letting them float up like balloons. Let your arms continue to rise all the way overhead. And let all that energy wash all the way down over your face, back down over your heart, arms falling gently down to your sides. Again, feeling this warm current of air buoying your arms, lifting them up like a breeze, all the way up. And then palms down towards yourself, letting the energy that we've created here start to come back into your own body. One more time like that. Let the warm current of air come into your sphere, lifting your arms, palms feeling warm, hands floating up. And letting all of this come back down over your body, this goodness, this charge we're creating. Now open your eyes if you wish. You can begin to let this gentle floating movement push you around the room. What would it feel like to be a cloud? Feeling a little gust of wind. Does it hit you behind the knee? A gentle step behind the other knee. Tugging at your sternum, pulling you forward or back. And if you were a cloud, what kind of cloud are you? A rain cloud? A bright, puffy white cloud on a sunny day? How brisk is the wind where you are? Is it strong or cool? And how does your breath respond to this experience of being a cloud? Maybe allowing some wind-like vocalizations to come into the movement. Take yourself as you move like a cloud or like a breeze back to that primary breath that we just practiced together. Is there an image that arose for you? Was there a feeling? Can you bring that into this movement? Or maybe bringing yourself back to this mantra, yum. Mantra of air. Mantra of love, yum. 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 Maybe taking yourself back to the beehive. That gentle buzzing, that noise of abundance, of creation, of honey production, sweetness of the bee. Oh, this is so beautiful. I can see while I have you on gallery view. This is wonderful. Yeah. This gentle feeling. What is it like to be inside a cloud? Is it chilly and warm? Yes. So continue. And then when you feel complete, you can start to find an end. Letting yourself come back down. Bringing us back into our next segment.
The space. The space of the human body, the social space of interaction, and the large space of the cosmos. The microbial body, the interactive, interpersonal body, and the climactic body. We face a triple whammy: pandemic, social injustice, and climate chaos. How can yoga serve us? Every day we can gird our bodies with the strength of yoga. All of these elements, earth, water, fire, air, find themselves within space. All of those situations, the pandemic, the yearning for social justice, the call for climate stabilization, all of that takes place within space. And in the packet that you received, you have a PDF of a daily sadhana that I developed over the course of around 15 years that integrates body and emotion. And I'm going to go through quickly. Some of these poses you can just sort of watch, and then as you read through this, there's actually 26 A through Z aspects of this suggested daily sadhana, that you can play with it in your own way, in your own time. But I wanted in this moment of space to do a review with asana, coordinated of course with breath, of the elements rising from the belly and then lifting from the back. So first, an asana for the earth, which is Dhanur Asana, earth, earth, earth. And then also from the belly, an asana for water, Shalabha, water, water, water. Then an asana for fire, Nagasana, fire, fire, fire. An asana for air, sticking the feet, lifting the torso, air, air, air. And then an asana, a plank for space, feeling the horizontality and the verticality of the body. And then from the other direction, taking the stuff of our feet in our hands and lifting them up to the sky. And then taking our connection point with the earth and lifting our sphincter to the sky. And then taking the staff for men, the linga, for women, the yoni, and lifting it to the sky. And then taking the heat and the desire of our belly, and if it's available to you, lifting it to the sky. And then putting that physicality and its connections through asana and through intention. Smelling earth with the nose and remembering that power of elimination. Tasting water with the mouth and acknowledging that watery capacity of our body. Seeing form illuminated by the fire of the sun, seeing that form through our eyes, acknowledging the presence of wind and breath upon the skin, breathing attentively, acknowledging the air outside, the prana inside. And then this, the vehicle of space, made accessible through our voice, made accessible through our ears. Organs of sense, organs of action, our physicality, our relationship with the external world. A world created and defined and now controlled by microorganisms. A world calling out for social justice, and a world calling for the correction of a disequilibrium of the atmosphere caused by human interference. So we need, with this physicality, to also create emotional space. And in what you will see, as you print and read it, we have 4 bhavas, 4 states of being that can save us. The first is to find our power. And this is Aishvarya. We have a will within us that can spur us into correct action. And this is Mahamudra, first to the left, and Aishvarya, that place of will. Si se puede. And the second great bhava that becomes our friend is viraga. Get over it. Let it go. Mahamudra to the right. Let it be. It doesn't make any difference. Just watch the parade go by. Stay calm and carry on. And then what sets us free is our knowledge that it isn't really about me. I'm just small. I don't really own anything. I'm just a little bit of a caretaker. And actually, I may do, but I'm not really the doer. So inhale up. This is the bhava called jnana, the bhava of knowledge that sets us free. And then the fourth friend in the realm of cultivated states of being is Dharma. Holding the world together, loka sangraha, doing what we can in order to keep ourselves safe and protected, in order to protect others, brothers and sisters in society, and in order, through our Dharma, through our good works, to be able to undo the harm done by human intervention in the powers of nature. And then next, we have the Brahma Vihara, universally recognized as the tools through which we enact and make manifest the enlightened view. And in this, we first dedicate this practice. I do it daily for my life partner, Maureen. Dedicate first Maitri, friendliness. In the Yoga Sutra, it says, if you see people that are doing okay in the world, be friendly toward those persons. Make them your go-to. So Maitri, metta, loving kindness, friendliness. And then we all experience moments of sorrow. And in recognizing that dukkha, we can manifest karuna. We can manifest a compassion for those moments and for those people who suffer. Think of those who are experiencing homelessness, those families who have lost loved ones to the pandemic, to the various tools of oppression that we've inherited through our history. to bring compassion, to bring karuna, wherever people cry out in need. And then next, rather than going to the comparison place, rather than going to a place that leads to jealousy or envy, go to a space, create a space of mudita, sympathetic joy for those who prosper. And reach out into that place of celebration, of sympathetic joy on both sides, both spaces of your world. And then simply reach forward with the fourth Brahma Vihara, knowing that you can only do what you can do and stay even. Keep upeksha, keep samatha, keep calm. And then gather your feet, your fingers and your toes, and dedicate yourself to the space of the yamas and the niyamas. Energizing with your little finger and your little toe, your ring finger, your middle finger, your pointer finger, and your thumb. In sequence, the gentleness of Ahimsa, little finger. The authenticity of truth, your ring finger. The honesty of asteya with your middle finger. Your fidelity and respect for body with your pointer finger. And your relinquishment of attachment to things, aparigraha, with your thumb. Ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. And then create the emotional space within for the niyamas. For your purity, shaucha. For your happiness, santosha. For your rigor, tapas. For your studiousness, svadhyaya. And for your love of the best for all beings, your dedication, Ishvara Pranidhana. And with the creation of that space, we find ourselves in the fullness. And if we could have the image, first of the space figure, we'll chant 18 times the syllable from your throat, the syllable hum. Hum, 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 hum. And then if we could have the image created by Gabriella of the human as continuous with animal, and feel the kinship of yourself with the rabbit, feel your kinship with the elephant, and feel your presence within the universe. And we'll chant 18 times Om, and then we will have completed 108 recitations. And when we come to that final Om, you'll be put into a breakout room of about 3 people total, so we'll have more than 30 breakout rooms. And we invite you to introduce yourself to your companion, and then we'll return for another minute just to say namaste. but share with your companion after our ohms who you are and how you will take this awareness into the world moving forward. Om, 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 om. So please accept the invitation to join a group, and then we'll come back all together for a final acknowledgement. I trust that you all made new friends, and I encourage you to check us through the day, come in and out, do what you need to do. And our next focal event is the discussion about our programs at LMU. And then we have a series of keynote and plenary sessions that will be deeply energizing and informative. So again, thank you all, and carry on with your yoga wherever you are in the world, every day, every day, every day. Give yourself the blessing of yoga. Namaste.